TNA Wrestling crossed that line again, and with just a week to go until Slammiversary, the surprises just keep on coming on Impact. Once again, we sit here speechless at what TNA have done ahead of Slammiversary. We will get into all of that and so much more on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. But first things first, we need to get into the action. And this was another great week of action on TNA. And it started with the Knockouts Tag Team Championships. And that was, of course, the champions, the Elegance brand. And they took on the new team, really. There's one of the new Knockouts in TNA, Harley Hudson and Myla Grace, in what was a great opening contest. We know Harley Grace and Harley Grace. We know Harley Hudson and Myla Grace here over here in the UK, two exceptional talents. Maybe they should call themselves Harley Grace. That might work, right? It certainly would help me. It's early on Friday. Impact only gone off the air a few short hours ago, guys. So apologies for that. But no, look, Myla Grace and Harley Hudson really showing what they're going to bring to the division in this match. And, unfortunately, they go on the wrong side of a defeat, though. Ash did hit the Swanton bomb on Myla for the victory. But again, I think, like, in a division that perhaps needed a sprinkling of something different in TNA or just some more additions to the roster, these two, Myla Grace, Harley Hudson, could be that secret recipe that TNA needs to really add a bit of spice to that division. Obviously, I felt as if the Elegance brand were always going to win this particular match just because we are so close to Slammiversary. Having them come off for defeat wouldn't quite work. I'm very intrigued with Harley and Myla, both singly and as a tag. I mean, what you've got there, what TNA have there with Harley Hudson and Myla Grace are two people that can wrestle as a tag, but equally could go for that Knockouts championship. And I think that's the important thing about it is the adaptability of both these two. And with people that TNA bring in, is that they can do this. They're not missing as a tag team. They don't miss a step as a tag team, but at the same time, as a singles, they can be right up there challenging the likes of, the Masha Slamoviches, the Tessa Blanchards, of this world. So these two pickups for TNA could be, I would say, I wouldn't want to say sleeper picks because it wouldn't do them justice, but I would say very much along the lines of two knockouts that can make a massive impression in the division. That's without question. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what's next. But unfortunately, this week, it was the Elegance brand that picked up the victory as we head towards Slammiversary next weekend, I might add, next Sunday. TNA Plus, where you can get all your action. Again, I believe there's another 3 month added. 21,000 subscribers, according to the president, Carlos Silva, this week on Ariel Hawani. 21,000 subscribers. This is amazing for TNA Wrestling. It shows that global reach that they have. And it's working wonders. And he did hint about a potential new distribution deal for TNA Wrestling, which could change the game. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the TNA Plus app, by the way, but to get in more homes is the key for success. And if there is a company out there that are willing to, take on that opportunity for TNA Wrestling, that is a massive thing. That could be a game changer for TNA Impact. I'll be looking forward. He did say 60 to 90 days. Let's see. But it was also nice to see Carlos Silva actually do some press. I don't know, he was out there. He was doing some press anyway as part of the Slammiversary stuff. But to have him out there and to speak so highly of TNA and what they're doing, and to have someone behind TNA the way that Carlos is very, very promising for the future of TNA. Obviously, the WWE partnership was working tremendously well down there in NXT, but it's great to see somebody that wants TNA to succeed. Not that anybody else previously didn't, by the way. I'm not saying that at all. But it's just so great to see, especially because people were concerned, when the previous management left, that we're not quite sure where they're going with this. It's great to see that. Hopefully, this TV deal is going to come on because that could, as I said, that could be a game changer for TNA going forward, and we would love to see that back on our TV screens. But of course, like I said, download the TNA Plus app, get it downloaded, get it subscribed. You can watch Impact on there for a cup of coffee for your weekly Starbucks run, near enough. And if you want that championship package where you get the pay-per-views included as well as the TLA archives, that's what I have. I think it's great. I love seeing some of the old stuff as well. Brings back memories, Beer Money and Co. On TNA Impact of part of years gone by. But exciting times, but let's get back into Impact, right? Because that's what we're here for. Backstage, the Hardys and the Rascals. Obviously, next week they are a part of the 4-team ladder match for the TNA Tag Team Championships, but they were in the main event first this week, against the Nemeths and First Class. And you know what? There is they were going there in confident mood. They were going to win. However, Trey Miguel from the Rascals is injured. Now, he is clear for Impact. He's clear for Slammiversary, but I believe it's after Slammiversary that he's getting some work done, or he's going in for surgery after Slammiversary. So we wish Trey Miguel all the very best with that. But we're looking forward to seeing what he does. He's going to do some crazy stuff before he goes in for surgery, that's for sure. Does that kind of rule out the Rascals winning that match, though, at Slammiversary? You have to ask yourself that question. We'll do the Slammiversary predictions next week, and some of them are going to be very hard to predict. But anyway, we move on to the next. Cedric Alexander obviously returned to TNA. He teamed with Jason Hotch and John Schuyler against the Secret Service. Great lumbar check. Cedric Alexander, I said this last week or even the week before. Cedric Alexander is an incredible pickup for TNA wrestling. Somebody that will just fit straight into whatever division. I mean, he's in a program right now with Ali. We'll get into what happens there in a minute. But he is a guy definitely underrated in where he was in WWE. He's going to be absolutely welcome in TNA. He's going to fit right at home. He just fits that, what you would class as the TNA athlete, the wrestler that you would picture in TNA. It's like him. He's going to have a tremendous future there for sure. I hope he's at TNA for a long time now. However, this had an incredible twist to the occasion. Now, after the match, Mustafa Ali gets in the ring. He's going to attack Hotch and Schuyler. Ali did struggle to take down Alexander. And then, to the surprise of everyone, Tasha Steelz low blow Cedric Alexander, the person that she has been calling for the last few weeks. She hits him with a low blow, and then Ali hits him with a chair. But the interesting thing was, Ali looked just as surprised as everybody else that Tasha Steelz had jumped into this and low blowed Cedric. So what is going on here? All the four are imploding. We don't know what's going on, but what we do know is going to happen is at Slammiversary, obviously Ali and Cedric should be a killing match if they provide it. But this match itself, short but solid. I was surprised that the Secret Service did get a bit of offense in there during this. But I tell you what, to up that stakes for that match at Slammiversary with Tasha Steelz doing what she did to Cedric Alexander there, it is totally given this match a new, maybe like a new angle as such, or certainly added some spice to the match. I mean, they don't really need to. Cedric and Ali are going to tear the house down. I would love to see them go at it in some form of Iron Man, 20-minute Iron Man, 30-minute Iron Man match down the line at TNA, because it would be one hell of a match for me. I'd love to see that personally. I don't know about you guys. But yeah, Tasha Steelz adding some interesting elements to this as we go forward on TNA. But we come straight back into knockouts, tag team matches. This is what I love about TNA as well. Like you can watch a match, you can watch a promotion, and you may not get any women's matches, or you get one or two. they're really showcasing their knockouts division right now, and it's so refreshing to see it. I'm a big fan. That's why over here in the UK, and as much as a call me contradiction, I've never been to a show yet. It's just because they're on a Friday. I love Eve Wrestling over here in London, in London in the UK. It's a women's only brand, and it's so the women are incredible over here, and the women are incredible in America, and Eve showcases that very, very well, and TNA are doing it as well. They're not shy of pushing their women. I feel as if in some companies, flavor of the month, you know, like obviously there's a big pay-per-view coming this weekend with the women. But it's like some weeks you'll get them 6 minutes, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. You won't really see them. And the fact that TNA are actively showcasing the roster. I mean, there was 3 matches this week, I think, with the women. Brilliant. Anyway, get back to the action. This was an interesting team. Masha Slamovich and Lei Ying Lee was against the NXT, JC Jane and Fallon Henley. Fallon Henley's another one. I will say this about Fallon. I think that I'm not going to say WWE are dropping the ball with her, but I think there's so much there with Fallon that they haven't even scratched the surface. I would like, and I don't know if this will ever happen, if this is even impossible, to do like a trade-off with some TNA. And I would like Fallon to come in as part of the TNA roster. JC Jane is the TNA is the Knockouts champion, at least until potentially this coming weekend. Anyway, so JC Jane does incredible work in TNA as well. But Fallon Henley for me is just one that just goes under the radar, and I believe that there's so much there that she can offer a company. Maybe WWE haven't scratched the surface with her yet. Maybe they will do. But I would love to see more Fallon Henley on our screens. Anyway, another great match. And I think sometimes when you've got the WWE people in there, because they're so used to wrestling a WWE way, it can help a little bit because you've got that. They know how to kind of piece matches together. I'm not saying, again, this is not a hit at TNA or producers or anything like that, but it's just they have a different feel to it. They really, really do. And the fact that, again, these girls from NXT are coming onto a brand which showcases the knockouts in such a way that TNA does. It's a match made in heaven. They all got some time to showcase it, but it was a snowplow finish from Masha on Fallon. It was, to be fair, if JC Jane's team was going to lose, which they did, it was always going to be Fallon that was going to eat the pinfall. They wouldn't have made the champion eat the pinfall on this match. And I tell you what, this really was match so far. I mean, there may be some other matches we'll get into in a minute, but this was match of the night for me, or very close to as it stood right now. The intensity of JC Jane has seemed to have taken up a notch since she's become champion. There's everything like the facials, there's the small detail that goes into what she does, and she makes it look brilliant. There's the intensity inside the ring, the facial expressions, everything that she does, the way that she plays with the fans as well. It's just she's a star, and it took her a while. Let's be honest. In NXT, she was always like a bit, not a bit part, but Mandy Rose. There was always Gigi Dolan, and you kind of didn't, or Priscilla Kelly. But she's now the leader of this brand, a leader of the faction as well that she's in. And yeah, you can see it. Maybe she's learned bits and pieces, picked it up, but she's brilliant. Obviously, Fallon's that reliable. There's more to come from her, I think, from me. Lei Ying Lee in this match took the brunt of the punishment, to be fair. But I like that because the resilience of her, and that's something where I certainly see her becoming Knockouts champion at some point. One thing I did love what TNA done in this match, and you don't see it very often, they kept champions apart. It was minimal with between those two at the weekend. Yesterday. It was minimal contact, minimal everything with them. I really enjoyed that because sometimes it's always a big thing to get the champions inside the ring to let them go. The fact that they didn't was a really well done piece of work for TNA. But obviously, JC Jane has a bit of a match on her hands this coming weekend with the juggernaut herself, Jordan Grace. And that could be interesting because the winner of that will go on to Slammiversary and take on the champion, take on Masha. We could get Masha, Jordan Grace. And if I'm correct, that's winner take all. Fuck. Sorry for swearing, but that's huge. But a great knockouts match on tag team match on Impact. Really, really, oh, so much fun, so much fun. But anyway, we go backstage on the Impact Zone, and of course, next weekend, no pressure, Leon, but you're going to make my prediction come true, and you're going to win the X Division Championship. And the system are in there. You know, Slater says he's backed by destiny to become the champion, and Musa says Slater's just another challenger that he has to overcome. But now Matt Cardona showed up. Now this was interesting. Last week, Matt Cardona taken out by Dark State, and he does try to warn the system about Dark State. The group leaves Cardona at this point. Brian Myers looked like he was going to say something to Cardona. You know, Cardona was asking for backup, really, for the system. Not forthcoming, although Myers was close. Is Myers going to join Cardona against Dark State? Let's hope so. Let's hope so. We go back into the action. Incredible match. TNA National Championship. Triple threat rules. Steve Macklin, Mr. Mayhem himself, Jake Summink, both men that we've had on this show. Go into the playlists below and have a little look. Against Mance Warner, triple threat rules, international championship match. I felt as if time constraints here. This match was really, really good. I would have loved to have seen this on a pay-per-view, getting 10 more minutes or so. And I think that that was the only piece that was missing in this. I mean, look, all three of them made the most of the time that they had. Don't get me wrong. This was literally what I would call a good old-fashioned meat slapper. You know, a huge, you know, hard-hitting contest with this. I always feel like Jake something is on the cusp of greatness. But he seems to be like he's there, but he's not. He's got something to prove, you know, no pun intended. And obviously, Mance Warner is just a scary psychopath. And Macklin is certainly bulletproof at the end of this. He did win via the KAI to retain the championship. I wish this was on the pay-per-view. I really, really do. Yeah, it needed 10 more minutes. It was great for what we had, don't get me wrong, but I just wanted to see more. Maybe we'll get it. Maybe we'll get it one day. Brilliant, brilliant match. And now the surprise. The following was paid for by Fourth Rope. His name is Enzo Amore, and he is a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. Yes, I believe Enzo Amore is coming to at least Slammiversary. He's talking about Forbidden Doors and God knows what else. Wow. It was a promo. It's on social media. Go and check it out. I don't know if he's signed for TNA permanently or what, but Enzo Amore is going to be at Slammiversary, everybody. Bada boom. He is the realest guy in the room. How are you doing? And the surprises just keep on coming. This is going to be interesting. I can't wait for this. You know, Enzo Amore, he's an incredible talker. You know, I always say he could sell meat to a vegetarian. You know, he's outstanding, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does at Slammiversary. Crazy. Anyway, to the TNA parking lot, which seemingly is a lot safer than the NXT parking lot. We go back with all the four, and Ali was trying to question Tasha Steelz' actions, and she just sounds off on them for not having any championships. She says to Ali that the world is calling Cedric better than him. She did remind Hotch and Skylar of their lives before Order 4 to be interrupted by the system. And that brings up a mixed tag team match next week on Impact. Interesting. It's really weird because Order 4 heals, system heals. Are we seeing a change in the system, changing of the system? Who knows? But yeah, interesting times at TNA right now. Once again, knockout action comes our way. Indy Hartwell, Victoria Crawford. Didn't quite hit. When you've seen the other knockouts action that we saw before this, I feel as though this would have been better to go on, even, maybe to open the show. It just wasn't quite there for me. Yeah, it just didn't quite hit it. Not quite sure what happened during this. There was a scissor kick spot for Crawford where she didn't seem to connect with it. Indy didn't seem to move. There was a little bit, and the match did kind of end out of nowhere with the big boot from Indy Hartwell. But it was probably more about the end and what happened afterward. Tessa Blanchard comes in, uh, cuts a promo saying that Indy leached off her back for years, and the Slammiversary she's going to expose Indy Hartwell. I loved it. I mean, to be fair, Tessa really carried this match on commentary as well, and she was the highlight of this match. And I don't mean it could have been just an off night. Some matches just go together and they just don't work, and this may have been the case with this one. And I think when you see the quality of the other two matches that was before it, yeah, it's just a shame it didn't quite work. But Indy and Tessa at Slammiversary will tear the house down without question. Anyway, Joe Hendry sit down interview with Tom Hannifan, and saying that Trick Williams doesn't respect what TNA stands for. Hendry says he respects Santana, but he puts himself over for getting more eyeballs on TNA. There may be in Santana's territory in TNA, but Hendry's the right person to lead going forward, and that he will become TNA champion once again. Possible. Very possible. We'll see. We will see what happens as the weeks as well. Yeah, next weekend, Slammiversary. We've got one more. We've got the Go Home Impact next week, so we'll see that, and then we'll see what happens with Joe Hendry. But main event time on TNA this week. This was the Hardys. This was the Rascals. This was First Class, and the Nemeth Bros. Brilliant. What you don't have to say anything when those two teams in there just delivered a fantastic, fantastic match with this. AJ Francis did hit Matt Hardy with a TFI because Trick Williams made his appearance in this, distracted, and helped First Class and the Nemeths get the win. And afterwards, they started to gang up on Matt Hardy. Santana arrives. He tries to clean house. There was a miscommunication between Joe Hendry and Mike Santana. Joe Hendry levers Mike Santana with a right hand. The two men are at each other's throats. The Hardys and the Hardys and the Rascals have to separate them as Impact goes off the air. Wow. I mean, crazy, crazy, crazy end to TNA this week. And once again, TNA as of late, well, not even as of late, for so long now, been putting on consistently great shows, and this episode was really no exception. The TNA NXT women's match for me stole the show just ahead of this main event match, and it was one of the best matches of the night. The Enzo Amore video package was a huge surprise. Does that mean we're going to get to see Enzo Amore in NXT as well? Somewhere down the line, the triple threat match was fantastic as well for the International Championship. And then, of course, Tasha Steele's on top of this with another surprise with the turn on Cedric. It was just a twist and turns episode of TNA, exactly what you would need. I kind of hope that continues next week because you do kind of want that as you go home, you know. So I'm hoping it delivers next week in a great go home episode, what will be a great go home episode of Impact, I'm sure. I just hope they deliver it on a grander scale next week, but we will see. That is for sure. But what a great episode of TNA Impact this week. As I said before, download that. Oh, dear, you know, we're going back to Enzo Amore. We don't know if he's going to be at Slammiversary, which we think he is. We think that was the hype. You know, who knows what happened, what's going on with Enzo. We'd like to hope that he's going to be at TNA, hopefully at Slammiversary. But look, guys, the only way to find out, TNA Plus app, get it downloaded, get it subscribed, get the packages that you want, either one. Either watch one, so you can either the package, or I always call it the Starbucks one, because you get it for a Starbucks a month, and you get to watch Impact. But if you want that championship package and you want the pay-per-views and you want the archives, go and do it that way. That's the way that I do it. I don't miss a trick. You shouldn't too. But this has been another fun episode of the TNA review show on Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Coming up on the program very, very soon, we've got pay-per-views galore this weekend. Of course, Evolution All In. Saturday night's main event, we're at Ignite on Sunday, where our championship's going to be defended. Bit of news about that coming up shortly. I can't say anything right now. Interview wise, we're sitting down with NWA star Alex Misery this week. Coming, myself and Miss Fiona Lochran will be back on your screens, and two massive interviews next week. In August, coming up with two creators, really. Coming up later, both later on in August. First one is David James Bartholomew and Will Scar, who do some interesting stuff on TikTok regarding wrestlers. They've even got an album on Spotify where if they created the theme, what it would be like. Tremendous. Go and check that out. And the top 10 series returns next week with, in August, with none other than Renee Manning. You can check her stuff out at Hey It's Renee. Nearly 4 million likes across the social media platform. To go and check that out. Go and check her out, and you can check her out on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast in a couple of weeks' time in August. That'll be a load of fun. But keep it locked on us at HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on all our social media outlets. And until next time, everybody, cross the line and stay safe.